Hello, hello. Me and Miss Lady are here again. We had a little accident. My picture fell behind the couch. And yes, my hair is. Today is a lovely day, a very rainy day. And I drove the whole way home with the windows down. And usually I'd try to like sort of fix it back. And I was just like, I don't care. Today is awesome. I love the cooler weather. It's cooled down a bit. It's not quite as steamy. It's very wet though. I feel just a bit bad for. I had uh, a couple clients that we did their styles today. You know, the smooth and press, and so I hope they are able to stay out of the damp today, so they can maintain their styles for a little bit. Anyways, I thought I would continue. I'm still in such a mood to talk about music after I was able to get shirts. See my dude DMX here. Um, and I think maybe I can be a little more structured in my musical journey, which again I think I'm the only one who cares to talk about this for myself, and I don't know if anyone's interested. But anyways, when I first left the call, my first introduction to outside music was in the mid 90s, and alternative rock was really really in. And then when I like officially left, January of 98, on the 23rd of January 98 was my official like rebirth into this new life. And my son was 2 months old at the time, and so I listened to whatever was on the radio. I never had money to afford a CD. I had a couple CDs. But at in the 90s, if y'all don't know, for any young people here, the 90s was a phenomenal era for rap and hip hop. I mean, the artists were just everywhere. And I didn't realize how much rap music I actually really listened to and enjoyed at that time, because to me I just thought it was pop because it was played everywhere. And so that's what I listened to. It was whatever was big, and which was rap and hip hop. And oh my god, I rediscovered them in this last year with listening to big chunks of genres of music. Because after rap and hip hop, I felt like I'd missed out on the 80s. I should have been growing up on 80s music, but I didn't. I was alive in the 80s, but not listening to popular music, which was hair bands and rock. And so I got really into rock next, and a lot of the 80s, and I would just listen to, you know, the 80s, 90s, and today popular rock music. And I got really into rock and some like softcore metal, like Disturbed and System of a Down. My sister was always really into Rammstein, and I love them. They're phenomenal. If you have not listened to them, they're amazing. Anyway, so then, and then with my son maturing and becoming interested in his own music, and his taste in music is a bit quirky. And then Jordan, his interest in music was very varied. It was just all sorts of different music. And so he introduced me to so much. And then after his passing, which I did touch on yesterday, I was really, I felt like I needed to reconnect to music, but I had to do it in my own way because listening to just his music was really hard for me. So I decided that I was going to reconnect with music in my own way so I could listen to it, because I had a really hard time listening to any music for quite a while after he passed. And when I would, it made me cry, and I would drive into work just like tears, and kept, oh, I got to be able to see the road. So I was like, okay, this is not, it's okay to cry, but it's not safe to be like bawling when you're trying to drive in traffic. And you know, sometimes it's not about healing and moving on, but it is about moving forward and finding a way to move forward. And so, like I said, I started doing like these journeys with music. I would listen to, it started with free form rap artists through a channel called, I always mix up the name of the channel, Grand Mode Cipher, Grand Mode Cipher. And there are all these like, un, they're not like on the radio or anything that I know of, but all these local art, they go to different places, and each person has a verse. I don't know if they're called verses, but they, you know, have some lines, and they each have, you know, a segment of the rap performance. And this free form rap style was really really phenomenal. And then I think I did a journey through old 80s music, 80s rock specifically. And as I would come across, be like, oh my gosh, I love this song, I would save it. And this was a lot of music by like AC/DC and Guns N' Roses. Oh gosh, there's so many amazing um, artists from that era. Metallica kind of goes back and forth between being like metal and rock. Just a whole, there's so many. There's so many. I can't name all the phenomenal rock artists of the 80s. There are too many, and my brain is going, you know, so many more, and you are forgetting all of them today. And I am, because I'm more excited to talk about the next journey we did was 90s rap. And just letting autoplay decide the next thing. And so listening to artists like Biggie and Tupac and DMX, of course, Eminem, Busta Rhymes, Ja Rule. He's okay, but he's not in that same league. Snoop, of course. Dre. I mean, Dre. Dre is. You hear his voice and you're like, oh, this is going to be a good song. Like some artists you just know, and then of course there's like Nelly, and you're like, okay, it's good. I mean, he does sing about some pretty irrelevant things, but it's good, and he's nice to look at. I mean, a lot of them. 50 Cent. Yeah. So I listen, and then I realized I'm like, I think I like rap a lot more than I ever realized. And this was something I don't think I paid attention to a lot of the lyrics when I listened to it way back in the day because I was just starting out in my life. But when I actually would listen to these artists and save the music and create my own playlist from all my favorites and Return of the Mac, great song. But yeah, I started to realize I was like, there is something I've heard a lot of people say to me, and I don't want to get like political, but I do interact in a world with lots of different people, and that includes a lot of like middle-aged white people who are often really confused with the BLM movement. And I'm not trying to be political, and for anyone who is not aware, BLM is not political. It's strictly about Black Lives Do Matter, and there's a lot of ways in our society that implies that they don't. And that's why it's necessary to be like, hey, remember, this is still a problem and we still need to help fix this. And so that's what it's about in a very simplistic form. And I've had this conversation so many times where they're like, didn't we solve all this back during, MLK and the civil rights era? And it's like, we made big improvements, but there is still further we can go. There's still a lot of things, like I think I touched on this before, there's still things that are weirdly segregated that you wouldn't even think about. Like the hair industry is one that's still quite segregated. And to find someone who is diverse in their clientele and their abilities to incorporate all hair textures is hard to find. It is become more education is becoming available, but that's one specific area where I know for a fact, being a member of that community of hairstylists, that it is something that is sorely lacking. We are improving it, but we're not there yet. And there's so many other areas in our society that we're still lacking, and we lack in representation. Just so many things and general attitudes. And so when we think that everything's solved and people are like, why are they bitching about this? Like, we fixed that back in the 60s. And it's like, we did make wonderful improvements, but we still have a ways to go. And so just like I'm always learning and growing, I think our society as a whole is learning and growing, hopefully, and that is the hope. And so and when you listen to these rap artists from the 90s and you actually pay attention to the words they're saying, it is hard sometimes if you're listening to the clean version, because I know some people are bothered by swear words. However, when you are upset or angry and you really want to get your point across, it is a very expressive way to communicate, which is why I use a lot of swear words. And a lot of artists, especially in rap and hip hop, do swear. Other genres do as well, but it is very common in that genre of music. And, possibly because they're talking about some really down to home personal shit. And I'm sometimes surprised at how popular the music was. The clean version on the radio, that I couldn't afford to buy the dirty version back in the day. And now listening to it, this might be why I've like fallen like deeper in love with the music, is because I refuse to listen to the clean version. I have to listen. It interrupts the flow and the rhythm of the music, and you hear these in these weird like chimes or zoop, in order to, instead of saying, I want to, what is it? I think it's a 50 Cent where he's like, I want to slut. Oh, that Snoop. And instead on the radio, instead of saying slut, it says zoop. It just kind of goes whoop, and you're like, what's the word? So there's a lot of shit like that. And it interrupts the flow. There's a lot of DMX music that I had never heard until I could find dirty versions online. And I'm like, oh, I like this. And I know why it was not on the radio. So censorship, with how much it injured rap and hip hop music, it's really impressive that it was still so popular, which is amazing. That's how talented these people were and are. Oh man, there's so many artists. I can't even, I mean, I listed a few. Eve, I really loved Eve. And there's too many to name. Did I already say Busta Rhymes? Because I was singing, okay, I was singing a Busta Rhymes song the other day. My son has told me I do not sound like a rapper. And I'm like, agreed, I am not a rapper. It is stand-up comedy when I rap. That is how I rap. And I was singing Break Your Neck. And he uses a word that I do occasionally use when I'm singing by myself in the car. I will admit to that. However, I do try my best to not use it. So I was singing Break Your Neck. And he's like, what the fuck was that? And I'm like, well, he says a word I can't say. And he's like, well, you could just say bitch. And I'm like, but that's one syllable. It doesn't work. You need two syllables. So I do this weird, and he's like, what is that? I don't know. Or when I was singing, washing dishes, I like to sing. And I was singing Rough Riders and, stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Hey, oh, that's how Rough Riders go. And my son's like, what is that song? I'm like, Rough Riders, DMX. He's like, you do not sound like DMX. I'm like, yeah, no shit. I'm a middle-aged white lady singing while washing the dishes. It's not going to sound like DMX. And I would argue no one sounds like DMX. He had a very unique voice. So yeah. So I very much appreciate all sorts of rappers. I'm not super big on mumble rap, but again, I am a little older, so 90s and early 2000s is more my jam. But I will say I'm very impressed with a particular artist, a few of them actually. There's Lil Nas X, who is phenomenal. He can do no wrong in my eyes. Seriously, he is just brilliant, and I love his music, even though he had a country rap song, and country is not my favorite, but that is a country song I do like. And Montero is brilliant. If y'all got problems with it, he does have a clean video version where he does not do, yeah, he has a very clean video version if you are offended or upset by some of his videos. I find them very artistic. There's Da Baby and Lil Baby, because I guess babies, and I do like them. There's ASAP Rocky and Tyga. There's a lot of, and then of course a lot of female rap artists. I really like Megan The Stallion. She's really good. And there's many more, and my brain is just gone. And then of course there's all sorts of other music, but yeah, I divided my music playlist. At first I had like, rap and hip hop, and then rock and metal, and then like chill music. And I was like, I'd rather be in a vibe, because some rap music is very mellow and very chill, like Return of the Mac. It's a very chill song. Although that's a song I can listen to in any mood I'm in, and it still makes me smile. So that one is in all my music lists, I believe. And so instead of breaking them down into different genres, I made them into 3 moods. Chill, which is like just kind of vibing music. like celebrate good times. It is a more hype. I have a hype category, which is like fun, party, happy music, like Bruno Mars and Celebration and, music like that. But some of those are also really good as a more chill vibe music where you just feel like you're just in the zone. And then hype music is, for me, it's more like party, fun, happy, and just pop, pop, pop music that pops. And then I have my intense music. And my intense music is mostly more intense rock, metal, and of course, more intense rap. And by intense, I mean like they need to have a heavy beat. They need to have like a lot of strong voice in there. And oh, that is probably the music I listen to the most, is my intense one. And then I have two other ones that I kind of I call modern, and the other is foreign, because those are newer music that I am introducing to myself. And so I'd like to listen to them to become more, the more you listen to something, the more it will resonate with you in your current state of mind. And the more you'll have some nostalgic recollection when you hear it in the future. And so for right now, my newer music, I do like to listen to it a little more. And so it will go in my modern and or my foreign music, so I can become more familiar with those artists. Like some of the modern music I personally have come across in my quest to find new music. I did not discover these people. They have been around for a long time, but I think there's a Canadian metal band, Unleash the Archers, and they have a wonderful sound. I really don't pay attention to a lot of lyrics, actually. So foreign music suits me quite well because I just like the mood of music. One Punch Man, for all you One Punch fans, their intro is amazing for both seasons, but I am partial to season one. That One Punch, when it gets super high and that hype, oh, I can't do it, but it's amazing. Japanese rock, anime rock, or I don't know what the genre is called, but it's phenomenal. It's, oh my God, the music just, it, it pops and it's intense and it's amazing. It's a journey in and of itself. There's this Korean rap that Jordan had introduced me to, which is what made me think, maybe I need to go and try to listen to music outside of the US and what's popular in the US and see what's popular in other places. And there's a band from Mongolia. They play like folk metal and they use like antique, classic instruments from Mongolia, but like their electric guitars have two or at the most three strings, and the sounds that they make from it and these guttural singing tones that they make, I can't explain it properly, but it's very, it's a vibe. It's amazing, and I do love it. They're one of my current new favorite bands is called Bloodywood, and they are from India. And it was two guys who started doing like meme music, turning meme songs into metal and doing like a metal cover. And then they started writing their own. And then they have a recent addition, I think about a year or so ago, they added in a rap artist. So their music is like a mix of rock and metal, also that Bollywood, like their native music vibe, and rap. It sounds chaotic. Maybe it is. I love the chaos of it. The sound is amazing. The voices are phenomenal. The guitarist is great. The lead vocal is wonderful. The rapper is great. And it's great. They're wonderful. They're awesome. I love them. If you haven't checked them out and you're interested in checking out something new, I would definitely encourage check out Bloodywood and The Who, spelled H-U. The Who. Those are two of my new favoritist bands. I also found some Scandinavian artists. I'm forgetting their names right now, and I plan on exploring more. And I would like to go on a journey and reconnect with some Brazilian music, because Brazilian music was a huge influence on my childhood and my life. And I miss hearing Brazilian music a lot. And so I go back to music from the 90s from Brazil that I remember, but I'm like, oh my God, they've evolved so much since then. I would really like to listen to some of their new music. But yeah, That is my rambling tangent of the day. I'm still just really hung up on music, and I probably will give myself, maybe I'll listen to some Brazilian music tonight and just really let myself vibe out and add a few more songs to my list. And yeah, that's my plan for tonight. We might be playing a drinking game later, and maybe we'll go live. I don't know. Unknown. We shall see where it goes. So anyways, I will bid you adieu, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And if you're not having a fantastic weekend, hopefully you're having an okay weekend, because that's okay too. It's okay to sometimes not be on cloud nine. I had to come to terms with that myself this past year. It's okay sometimes to just be okay and to just get by, because you're still here and you're still kicking it. So that's pretty awesome too. And I don't know, maybe check out a new tune. Maybe you might fall in love with something new. So, ciao.